This is the newest, official, largest structure ever built on 2B2T. It's called Collective Sky, and it was made with some of the most advanced 2B2T player ingenuity I've ever seen. We all know that tons of obsidian sky structures like these have been built one after another for years, but none have ever even come close to the size of this. This video is sponsored by Pebblehost. In 2021, a player by the name of Tosca had the idea to build the largest obsidian structure on the server, one that would far surpass anything built before in size. Around 1 billion blocks of obsidian was planned to be used, and was originally supposed to be of their group logo, the Imperials. But due to the massive amount of obsidian required that the group didn't have, they ended up building a much smaller version of that logo, upside down. That's right, they accidentally built it with the top facing towards the south, which of course didn't match up with any of the other obsidian symbols across the map. After that blunder, drama in the group would eventually cause the core members of the Imperials to leave, and in 2022, those members would start a new group called the Collective. This was also when they came up with a new design called Collective Sky, which was based off an ancient symbol called the Seed of Life, which has multiple meanings depending on who you ask. This new structure would span 32,000 blocks wide across spawn, and would require 163 million obsidian to complete, which was around 1/6 less than his original goal, but still was already many times more obsidian than previous projects like the Spawn Mason logo, or more recently, Conquest Square, which actually filled in the entire thing. So for the Collective to complete their build, Tosca personally spent $500 on 200 double chests of shulkers containing duped ender chests, plus 20 of his own, which if mined, would equal over 164 million blocks of obsidian, just barely enough to complete this project. Now before I get into how this structure was actually built, I want to quickly shout out today's sponsor, Pebblehost. Starting at just $1 per gig of RAM per month, and with your choice of Intel i9 or Ryzen CPUs, unlimited player slots, and server locations all over the world, it's a pretty good deal, and an overall excellent server host that I've used personally in the past. And it's an even better deal when the first 175 people can use the code SALC1 to get 10% off their first premium tier server. Thanks again to Pebblehost for sponsoring this video. So, it was time to start placing. Right? Well, not so fast. Rumors started to spread that 2B2T would soon update to 1.19. This was a concern because if they started building the structure at the old 1.12 height limit of 256 blocks, and the server updated to 1.19 where the height limit would now be 320, players would easily be able to grief it by building stuff on top, like lava casts. So the decision was made to put the project on hold until the server updated, which eventually happened, only for that massive 220 dub stash of obsidian to get found and griefed due to the Randar exploit. Tosca had no choice but to repurchase all of the obsidian he lost, and with some financial help from his friend HenkyMC1, they bought a new batch of obsidian, plus some other supplies, for $1,215. This is no doubt an insane amount of money to be spending on blocking, at least in my opinion. But finally, everything was in place, and it was time to build the structure. And thanks to the increased amount of obsidian they got from the item shop, plus 3 million obsidian generated per day from Mushek's obsidian farm, it was decided at the last minute that the size of the build would increase to 40,000 blocks wide and around 207 million blocks of obsidian, and their goal was to get it done in 30 days, which was an absolutely insane time frame. How the group was able to accomplish this was of course by using bot accounts that placed obsidian in the correct spots on the 2B2T map, which was based on this mathematical equation that defines the entire structure. You heard that right. A new mathematical formula was created for a Minecraft build. Now I want to show you the interactive map that was used to help visualize the progress and show which group members placed the most obsidian. You can see that some people went absolutely insane with this, and literally had dozens of accounts logged in on their computers 24/7 just placing obsidian. Now here's a live look at one of those computer screens, which in this case shows 24 bot accounts building the structure in real time. All of what you see on screen is completely automated, with the help of various mods and tools like Baritone, Mindflayer, Zenith Proxy, and a fully custom Meteor client plugin made specifically for this project by a group member named Evelyn that communicates with a central server to determine where to place blocks, but also keeps track of who was placing them. One thing you may have noticed is that the bots appear to place blocks without having to be in view of another block's surface. This was basically taking advantage of what is called an air place exploit that allows these kind of block placements, which results in faster placement speed and for the ability to place shulkers under the logo to aid with restocking obsidian in the bot's inventories. Now in my opinion, this is the coolest part. If a bot ran out of obsidian, it would first place a bed to set its spawn point, then it'll send a request to the central server to load a pearl at a secret restocking location. The obsidian is then restocked, all put into an ender chest, the player dies, respawns at the bed, and then resumes placing, all without any human interaction. So if they were using bots, why the short time frame of just 30 days? Well, it all comes down to the limitation of 2b2t's queue. Without a priority queue subscription, it would simply take too long waiting through the queue to get into the server and make progress. But a subscription costs $20 per account per month. In this case, 36 bot accounts were used to build the structure, which would mean paying Housemaster over $700. If they didn't finish within that single month, that number would be even more. And of course, reality struck, and the project took a total of 40 days and 8 hours to complete, which meant that they had to repurchase priority queue for at least a few of the bot accounts. And at the end of the day, it cost the group over $1,000 on priority queue alone. Now, even though this project took a bit longer than expected, 40 days is still an insane time frame for placing 207 million obsidian. Now, because this was built on 2b2t, you might have asked, has it been griefed yet? Well, in the months after, the build pretty much hasn't seen any huge dent in regards to griefing. Why? Well, good luck griefing the largest known build on 2b2t, made from obsidian, which takes forever to break, and at world height, so you can't lava cast or wither it. The only way to even conceive of griefing this build is to fill it in, like what happened to the Spawn Mason logo. But for something this big, that would top the scales of player insanity on 2b2t. As if this project wasn't already insane enough.